Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started while hopefully while we're waiting for him that we can get through at least the stuff that we have to talk about. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, be advised this meeting is being recorded and will be available on the Lunenburg Public Access Channel within 24 hours. The following information is provided to citizens. They can join this meeting via Zoom. So far, we don't have anybody else other than members of the commission. It's being transcribed with the Zoom AI companion. There's a link that takes you to what that means. The town uses AI Companion to create audio transcriptions, and the audio transcription process has begun even before the meeting has actually commenced. As soon as we launch Zoom, AI Companion is in effect. Participants via Zoom may use the raise the hand feature to request to speak. Public participation is encouraged. Public comments may be permitted on regular agenda topics in addition to public comment periods. At my discretion, the agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those reasonably be anticipated. Votes may be taken because of these discussions. Not all items may be discussed, and items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. And one of the things that I did not do is I did not put on the agenda that we were going to review and approve our meeting minutes. Hopefully, we can do that and not violate the open meeting law. So we have two sets of meeting minutes. What I'm going to propose is that we approve the meeting minutes for September. The October meeting minutes were pretty complicated, and I've begun to edit those, but I needed to look at some of the transcriptions, the recording, and see a couple of pieces before I finish my edits. So we won't vote on those tonight. We'll vote on those at our next meeting. Um,
Yeah,
but
that
the
makes total sense. It was definitely gonna need some revisions. The way I
Yeah.
kind of mixed up with where the historical started theirs. I stopped taking notes. So I just wanted to make sure all four of us were on the same page before I
Yeah,
submitted.
and the other issue was I identified the people that I knew were in the room with us because I knew who they all were. So I've added that to the meeting minutes. I've kind of done the edits, but I want to look at them one more time before I send them out. Um, and I know who was making comments and why. So I wanted the meeting minutes to reflect that. Okay, so we're letting Richard in. There you go. Richard, you're on mute, so if you don't want us to see you, you can leave the R in place, but you need to turn your speaker or your audio piece on so you can participate.
Figure out how to do that.
All right, we can not only hear you, we can see you, Richard.
Okay, ready to roll.
All right. I've done the preamble that's required by open meeting, and I made a comment that I forgot to add the meeting minutes to the agenda. And we got two sets of meeting minutes that William has prepared and sent out. There was some significant editing required for the 20 October meeting minutes. We're not going to vote on those tonight. I've made the edits. I want to look at them again before I send them to you all, but we'll discuss those at our next meeting. But we will vote on the meeting minutes for September. They were pretty straightforward. So I will begin by asking. First of all, let me see if there's anybody else that's joined us. I don't see anyone else, so there'll be no other public comment. So I'll ask for a motion to approve the 11th September meeting minutes.
I
Motion
make
to
a
approve.
I second it.
Okay. All right. Um, and then we'll deal with 20 October at our next meeting. I only had three topics that I wanted to talk about.
Do you want to vote on that motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Nathan. Yes,
Yep.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, we have to do a roll call vote since we're on Zoom. So, William, what's your say?
Aye.
Richard, what's your say?
Aye.
And Nathan?
Aye.
And I for myself. So those meeting minutes have been approved. Um, All right, and then the three items that are under current business, which I wanted to discuss, was the merger 50 Main Street and 763 Mass Avenue. At this point in time, I have no desire to pursue the in the APDC. I think that what happened to us in October was, completely inappropriate. It was really kind of an unfortunate set of circumstances, and I believe that there's virtually no support for the work of the Architectural Preservation District Commission by the select board and certain town citizens. I'm not worried about the town citizens, but I am extremely worried about the lack of support for the work that the APDC has done, as well as the Historic Commission. Their lack of support says, I don't see that changing. And I think that if we pursue the merger, we're going to run into the same situation that we had with the select board. And so I'm not pursuing it. And that topic will be removed from the agenda, and that's a dead issue from my perspective. And the chips will fall where they may with regards to quorums and the ability for the two respective organizations to meet quorums. But I think that my real concern is there's not any kind of measure of support from the select board for the work of the APDC, which is directly linked to 50 Main Street. I have no confidence that we could enforce the provisions of the Architectural Preservation District bylaw to any kind of degree of effectiveness with the select board that we currently have. And I'm not going to waste my time dealing with that issue. If the property owner who has that structure wants to let it deteriorate and have the historic pieces of the building fall to the street, that's going to be his call. I just think it's not going to be something that we can
Okay,
pursue.
wait. So hold on a sec. Let's not mix topics here too much. So can we stay on the one agenda topic, which was the merger thing?
Yeah,
So
I think they're related, Nathan, and they're related by a fact that the select board, by its actions that it took on the 21st of October, doesn't intend to support the Architectural Preservation District Commission. I had
Well,
a
so
conversation.
hold on. I think that's a way overgeneralization, Anthony. I don't. 50 Main Street. Are you talking about the church
Yeah,
on Main Street?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're really stretching things here. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion on that, but I think I think that's really over extrapolating.
I don't. Like what we brought to the select board, a pretty well-staffed bylaw, was basically rebuffed because of the feelings that the select board had about the work of the commission.
No,
They didn't
it was
say anything
rebuffed.
about the bylaw. They were criticizing the work of the commission.
No,
And
I think it was rebuffed primarily. I think because there was a lot of concern over the public feedback that was received about it. And at any rate, like, I don't know that in terms of 50 Main Street, like, the select board doesn't have a whole lot of say in that. Like, if we pursue, demolition by neglect at 50 Main Street, like, that's, they don't have a lot of discretion on that.
they have a huge amount of discretion because the only way that we can enforce that demolition is through a court action. And there's no way that this select board is going to pay for town council to support that legal action.
Town council, Anthony, is on retainer. They don't get paid. They get paid the same amount if they do nothing or if they go to court.
Nathan, there is no doubt in my mind that this commission that the select board would support the commission in that task.
Okay, well, I just got to be clear. I don't think that's an appropriate judgment to make. I think that's a pretty radical, in my opinion, misinterpretation of what's going on. And yeah, you know, so that the merger thing didn't go through, I think we just gotta, you know, we could keep pursuing it or not, but let's not let that screw up the way we're thinking about everything else. And, you know, honestly, the select board, we shouldn't be thinking about what the select board's doing in terms of what the select board's going to do or not do in terms of how we're doing our job. We should just do our job, and where it's the select board's job to, I don't know, like, to the extent that if they go out of their way to stop the lawyer from doing what they're supposed to do, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But I don't think we should be assuming they're gonna not do their job.
Others?
I mean, if we want to look forward, if we want to use 50 Main Street as an example, I think we've done more than our due diligence to try and work with the owner of that property through Nathan's efforts of, you know, reaching out personally. So if we say move forward with a demolition by neglect, I guess not only will be moving in the proper channels for our board, but we will also in real life see if we have the support. You know, if they do push back on our use of town council, that'll be something that'll be very evident if we move forward with a demolition by neglect.
Richard?
So 50 Main Street's a main property in the National Historic District. It's been a main building in the town since it was built in the 1840s. I've been working on, since the inception of the Architectural Preservation District Commission, when I was chairman, we've been working on trying to contact them and do something about that steeple when it was just about complete and it was starting to lose parts of it to no avail. So it's been on our docket since 2018.
So can I ask a question on the current status? So if we sent them a letter, if we mailed them any kind of notice, we had agreed that we were going to mail them something to come and meet with us to discuss it. Was that mail sent?
Nope.
No.
And I'm being quite honest when I say that I did not do that because I think it's a waste of time.
Well, that's not your decision to make. We as a
Okay, all right, Nathan, then you write the letter and you send it. I'm perfectly okay with that. You can sign it and send it as a member of the Architectural Preservation District Commission.
Okay, that's fine. But you had said you were going to do it.
And that is correct. But the reason why that I didn't pursue that is because I think it's a waste of time.
We agreed that's what we were going to do. So it doesn't matter what the reason is, Tony.
I'm not doing it. You know, you want to be the chair? You can be the chair, Nathan. I'm not doing it.
Okay.
You want to send a letter? You can send a letter.
I'll send the letter.
That's fine with me.
But as far as additional steps, like that letter and that meeting is supposed to proceed, was supposed to precede any, you know, any declaration of demolition by neglect. That was the plan we'd agreed to. So
that's
yes,
true.
But
I'm here to tell you that it's going to take resources that we don't control in order for that to have an effect.
That's fine, but the town is supposed, they're obligated to do that. That's their job. They're going to have to go out of their way not to do it. And I agree with
Nathan, you send the letter.
I will write the letter, Tony.
You send the letter. Let's see what happens. Let's see if this is going to go any place productive. My prediction is it will not. And I also give you the benefit of a conversation I had with Brian Gingras, because I asked him if he could have some sort of enforcement action as the building commissioner, and he said no. He says, and I'm here to tell you, he says, based on my experiences of being a builder commissioner in other places, he says, you can't force the issue. And Adam Costa said the same thing to me.
Excuse me, Tony. Maybe in a situation we are now, yes, we'd have to take them to court. We've already had that conversation with Adam Costa about what changes to the bylaw that would be required, what changes to the town's bylaws that would be required, and they're quite minor to turn that situation around.
Nathan, if you want to send a letter, go right ahead. I'm not going to hold you up.
I'll send the letter. Yep.
Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about. I was going to ask Richard to give us a report on 763 Mass Avenue.
No updates there. As far as I know, it's still going to be developed as a two-family with the townhouses being built in the front yard.
Do you know if there's been any building permits pulled for that work yet, Richard?
No, when I last spoke with Brian Gingras a few weeks back, he had said that I reported to him, we had the historical commission sent a certified letter to the owners who are in Florida, and the letter was returned to sender. That they were no longer at that address and there was no forwarding address. So I reported that to him, and he said when he last heard that it was still under agreement with the contractor. So I don't, from what I understand, it's not sold yet, but the contractor has an option on it that he's holding on to, which was the case over a year ago or so when I had somebody that was interested in buying it. They were told that they couldn't buy it because it was under agreement.
Okay. Anything else that needs to come before us?
I just wanted from the Historical Commission point at the select board meeting, a citizen had insinuated that I was being deceitful in saying that we hadn't had a full quorum in years, and that two citizens had applied to be on the commission and were told that there was a full commission. There had been one application that was put in before they had applied, and the select board approved that application. But in two meetings that we had, the applicant hadn't shown up for the meeting. And I inquired of the applicant if he was going to be on the commission, and he was handicapped and he didn't have access to transportation in the evening, so he couldn't get to the meeting. So there's nothing that I could do. So I advised him to resign his position, which he did. So there was no full quorum. And the two citizens that had wanted to join, they could have joined as alternates. I think I had suggested that at the time, working from memory, so don't quote me. And the position was open in a few months, and they never applied to join, or never came on to the commission for whatever reason. And another point was that someone had spoken up that antique homes were really difficult to sell in a historic district, and they weren't valued, which is false. There are studies that have been done by universities and researchers that prove that that have shown that homes in architectural and historic districts appreciate faster than neighboring neighborhoods. And we found that to be the case in the Architectural Preservation District here. Amory Phelps owned a blacksmith house on the old blacksmith's house on Leominster Road, and she had someone knock on her door and asked if she would sell the house to them, that they loved her house and they wanted to live in an old house. And after some consideration, she really loved her house and loved living in Lunenburg. After some consideration, she decided to sell it and move back down south to be close to her family. The people that lived across the street from her diagonally were from Texas and wanted to live in a New England village and bought that house. And there have been other people that have valued living in a national historic district. Lunenburg has one of little more than 100 national historic districts in the entire country. It's a real gem, but I don't think it's appreciated by the population here. I've been trying to draw attention to this, and I've been rebutting misinformation about the APDC in front of the select board town meeting and elsewhere for since its inception in 2018. Support for the APD from the select board, APDC from the select board, and the public has been a steady decline since the start due to a misinformation campaign from certain citizens in town. I'm really tired of rebutting all of this stuff. I've been threatened, I've been slandered, attempted extortion, my property's been trespassed upon. I've been threatened physically. I've stuck with this position on the APDC because I believe it's important to the community, but I think the community wants an APD. There's a loud vocal few against it and an apathetic public and select board that's not supporting it. And for that reason, I'm going to resign my position tonight, and I'll send my letter of resignation into the select board. I've really had it with this. That's the end of my
I completely understand your feelings, Richard. I think that many of the comments that I've heard directed to you have been, directed to you or about you over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been engaged have been completely inaccurate and just simply not true. I mean, I think you've really brought a lot, a lot of attention to the historic preservation activities in the town of Lunenburg, and it's unfortunate that that what you have experienced has been, something that you had to go through. I had a call from a former member of the select board after you and I had appeared before the select board on the 21st of October. And one of the things that I thought was a tremendous indicator of this lack of support was that comment made by that individual who said the select board should not allow warrants that are properly staffed and properly developed should not prevent them from going before the town for a vote. He says, and historically, that's been the case up until recently. He says, where some members of the select board think that they can be gatekeepers on what the citizens vote for at the town meeting. He says, that's incorrect. He says, the ultimate value of town meeting government is that if you have an issue that you want the town to vote on, it should be allowed to go before the town for a vote. He goes, and the select board failed to recognize that with their decision not to let this merger warrant go through. He says, now personally, he says, I'm not sure I'm in favor of the merger. He says, but I think that it should have been allowed to go forward for a vote. And that's the issue here. The issue is that this select board doesn't support this commission for a variety of reasons, none which appear to be based in fact, but that's the cards that we've been dealt with. And I think that, there is not a sense of appropriate support being offered by a commission whose members the select board have appointed. And I think that that's a damaging place to be because it will deter good volunteers like you, Richard, from becoming and staying as a member of a group like this. So, I mean, I think this is serious business. It's not just about the merger. It's about how the select board supports the boards, commissions, and committees that are in the town. The ultimate decider of whether something makes sense or not lies with the citizens, not with the select board, in my mind. And that was reinforced by the conversation that I had from a former select board member.
Hmm.
William, any comments? You know, you had indicated previously that, you would stick with us through, through the merger. So, any comments from you?
Yes, sorry, trying to keep up with the notes at the same time. Um, First and foremost, I'd just like to say, Richard, I'm sorry that, you've been through all that, and that's a lot. And I had no idea the level that you've put yourself out there and what you've sacrificed. So I appreciate what you've done for us, and I know your passions in it. So I just want to put that out there that I thank you, and I'm sorry to see you go. As far for me as uh, I'm sticking with it for now. Things were a little rocky the last month or so with the government shutdown and everything. But right now I'm gonna stay status quo. So
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, Richard, yeah, thanks for everything you've done in your, extremely long and successful service. Historic Committee. I think it's a lot of the credit, a ton of credit goes to you for the fact that Lunenburg still does have a fantastic historic heritage. And it is, as you pointed out, it hasn't always been, for most of that time, it's been a small handful of dedicated folks, yourself, at the front of that group that has, made it possible to preserve this and to celebrate it with the historic district and being recognized. And, I've appreciated working with you and the historical commission, both on the APDC and also when I was on the planning board and we put worked together to put the APDC in place. So yeah, sorry to see you stepping down, and I'm sorry that about the experiences that you've been having that haven't been good. I hope you're staying with the historic commission, but no, you don't know the town anything at this point. You've done so much, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind words. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else that need to come before us tonight? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
All second.
Second,
Okay, got to do a roll call vote. William,
Aye.
Richard,
aye.
Nathan,
Hi.
and I for myself. Okay, so we're adjourned, and we'll see you in December. It's hard to believe we're talking about that. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.